Thank you for plugging into this Family Life News podcast, streaming issues-driven, family-focused news.
This is Faith Under Fire. Each Thursday on Family Life, we give voice to religious battlegrounds in this nation. I'm your host, Tracy Lynn. With us today, Erica Steinmiller-Perdomo, counsel with Alliance Defending Freedom. Would you tell us about the new requirement the Biden administration is linking to gender identity?
So the Biden administration is redefining the meaning of sex in Title IX, and the requirement will affect all schools that participate in the USDA's National School Lunch Program. Essentially, what's occurring in this case is that the government is threatening to withhold funds from this Christian school, Grant Park Christian Academy, based on them not wanting to and being exempt from complying with this new definition of the Title IX policies.
Okay. My understanding is that the USDA under Secretary Tom Vilsack, he's spearheading the requirement. What would this really mean for public and Christian schools?
So the USDA administers the National School Lunch Program. Funds are dispersed at the state level. So in this case, the Florida Department of Agriculture is the one responsible for administering the National School Lunch Program at the state level. And what it means for Christian or any public schools, essentially any schools that receive funding from the federal government will be impacted by these changes. The mandate applies to all schools that participate in the National School Lunch Program or other nutrition programs.
I was looking a little more in depth at what came out from the USDA, and it mentioned, of course, basically anyone who receives funds must investigate allegations of discrimination based on gender identity or sexual orientation. But that wasn't it. They also said organizations must update their non-discrimination policies and signage to include prohibitions against discrimination based on gender identity and sexual orientation. This is a big deal.
Yeah, that's right. The USDA memo requires updating websites, policies, putting posters in the school. So it requires the school to comply with a lot of new measures, including implementing this new complaint procedure.
And shocking for Christians.
And the way I was just going to mention that the regulations that they're trying to impose, they'll apply to the whole institution. So this is going to affect, the bathrooms. This is going to affect school uniform policies, hiring, and the use of so-called preferred pronouns in school and daily conversations.
Wow, thank you for including that. We've learned that in New York State, the SUNY, the State University System of New York, will be changing their pronoun policy effective next fall. And this seems like the whole country is kind of moving in this direction. Wow. At least 22 state attorneys general are challenging the move in court. Do you have any updates for us? Like, when is the USDA hoping to begin the requirement, and what's the status of the case against the USDA?
Per the USDA's memo that they released on May 5th directing compliance with this new mandate, they required compliance with updating websites as early as 90 days after issuance of the memo. So the changes that are being required in schools, especially in Grant Park Christian Academy, those changes are effective as of now. So yes, there's this lawsuit by the 22 attorney generals. Florida is not included in that lawsuit, and that's why we filed suit on behalf of Grant Park Christian Academy to challenge implementation of this unlawful mandate in Florida.
Do you have any recommendations for us, Erica, on what each of us can do out of concern for children in the local schools on this topic?
Well, I think that we need to continue to push back against government overreach that threatens our religious freedoms and push back against being required to introduce this radical gender ideology into a Christian school, a school that is protected under federal law from having to violate its religious beliefs in this way. And so we would ask for prayers to support this mission and to make sure that the children in schools continue to be fed meals that they depend on, and that school lunch is not taken away by the Biden administration's unlawful policies.
Where can we go for updates on this case or any of the other work that you're doing at ADF?
Yeah, you can go to adflegal.org to follow the case. We'll be posting updates.
That's ADF's Erica Steinmiller-Perdomo. I'm Tracy Lynn, Family Life News.